Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Wednesday, June the 2nd. I'm Gary Stevens. And it's time now to get an update of what's going on at the Community Action House. And joining us today, besides David Lee, who is the lead on the title is project manager, but basically he's the lead spokesman for the Action House, as well as executive director Scott Rumpsa. They join us via the Zoom connection. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary. How are you doing today?
We are well. Glad you are with us. And if you have a question about what's going on at the Action House, they'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. David is well aware of what we'll start our discussion with because he was part of the discussion. But Scott, will have you, as the operative leader of the organization, tell us about a new opportunity. And opportunity is part of the name. It was partially discussed the last time we had our friends from Community Action House, the Food Club and Opportunity Hub. I believe it is now a reality.
Yeah, well, it's on the way coming. And Gary, we're so excited to share today with you and your listeners that after years of planning and after so much community support and input in this process of stepping forward with a new way of helping ensure everyone in our community is able to have the healthy food that their family needs in a more welcoming, inviting way that really recognizing the dignity and choice that we all deserve here. And that's our Food Club and Opportunity Hub. In March, we broke ground on construction, converting what was once a former neighborhood grocery store at the entrance of Holland Heights into our new Food Club and Opportunity Hub, which will open in October of 2021. And we're just so excited about that process. And I look forward to sharing more with you and your listeners today.
Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges, Scott, as on the Zoom video, David is showing a picture of that facility that will be open less than 6 months from now. But still, the reality is going to be there. What was the biggest challenge in getting this to become a reality? Was it just simply capital, which obviously would be a big factor, or perhaps getting the resources needed in a more tangible way, actual food in that regard, getting that steady resource, because unlike a food pantry, you cannot rely on just the generosity of people to help stock a situation like this.
Yeah, and so what this is this is a big change. You know, for decades and decades, we've operated here at Community Action House a number of programs. One of those big ones was as our region's largest food pantry. And we've served so many people over the years. And honestly, we've never served as many people as called on us last year, when over 14,000 neighbors received take-home meals and groceries and that food support in their house, thanks to all of the volunteers and supporters that power the work at Community Action House. Now, Food Club is different, but in one sense, it's also a continuation of what we've always done, which is we try to offer the kindest, most welcoming service we can to our neighbors when they are in that time of crisis and that time of struggle. And a thing that I value about this organization and all those who stand with us in our work is we try to put the guest at the center of our decision making. And back in 2015, some of our volunteers and staff and others heard of a new way of approaching food insecurity in Grand Rapids, and they visited this brand new model of how do we support people who have a very low income, who are just scraping by, who are cutting back on some of those healthy, fresh items that we know everybody needs to reach their potential. And that was called a Food Club approach to food assistance. So since 2015, one of the big things we've done and that we had to do to accomplish was we had to learn from another model. We had to learn from what they're doing. Is it really a better way? We had to ask our guests here, do you like this better way? Are you in line with this? Would this better serve your needs? And all of that learning was a part of a multi-year journey. And then in the last 2 years, yes, the fundraising is a challenge, but in this community, we're really grateful to live in one of the most generous places where people understand that to do things well and to do things efficiently, it means bringing these solutions to our community so that everybody around has that network of support and opportunity that we want all to have. So everyone has kind of that unfair competitive advantage here so that we can take that step forward and nobody has to do without that welcoming assistance that some folks need to find that next step.
If you got a question for Scott Rumpsa or David Lee with the Community Action House, they'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Talk a little bit about this membership fee idea, which some might say is a barrier. Because they're restricted in their revenues, and they're limited in income, and they might say, well, why do I have to pay to get this? It's just an extra cost. While others would say that by establishing a membership fee, you put value in the actual service itself. It has a sort of value to it. If you get something for nothing, you tend not to take it for granted a little bit. But if you have to pay a little bit for it, it does establish a sense of responsibility. Hey, I'm paying for this thing. I might as well get the best use out of it. So to me, Scott and David, it's a two-edged sword.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people have questions about that. And that's one thing that we, as we went back and forth to Grand Rapids and kind of watched this other model develop, we were very curious about. We were curious how our guests would respond. And one thing that we looked at, the sort of folks that were coming to us is like, okay, what situations are they in? And we always are working with people on their household budgets and what they have and what they're accessing. And the food club model, I believe, and we contend, is a great response to something that we've seen. And that's where the food system's binary. Everything is either completely free at food pantry networks where there's limited hours, limited choice, limited healthy food access of those things families really need, and often waits and that inconvenience where people might have to spend hours in a waiting room or only come, once every month when they actually need more support than that. And then there's full price. So there's this binary. It's free or it's full price at Meijer or Aldi. And the majority of our guests that were coming to us had a full-time income source. It just wasn't enough to cover the cost of essentials. And this was before the pandemic hit. Over 60% of our guests we found had that full-time income source. Just once they were looking at housing, healthcare, childcare, those other essentials, they didn't have enough for that healthy food their family needed. So they were actually taking time off work to try to come to a food pantry to hold it together. Or a newly retired senior retiring just on Social Security while renting didn't have enough to make ends meet. Now, what we also knew about those families is that sometimes that stigma of receiving something free when they do have an income, that was actually a barrier. And there's dignity in a sliding scale membership fee. So this isn't a one size fits all pricing. This isn't like walking into Meijer and says, you're covering everything. This is saying, based on your income level, there's a sliding scale membership. Might be just $11 a month, might be $17 a month, but it's based on how much you earn. And then at the end of the day, you're actually going to be able to shop over the course of a month and take home to your family maybe $100 to $150 worth of food. And it's going to be that healthier, fresher items. And for the sake of that membership fee, what that allows us to do is guarantee healthy food access with extended hours, evening hours, weekend hours, being open 6 days a week, and having that welcoming experience where in Grand Rapids, mothers are excited to say, this is the one place where I can come. I bring my child because I'm proud to have choice. I don't just wait and receive. I go and I can choose. I can let my child choose one thing. And that's a joy because a lot of folks who are living on the margins or on a budget, they're living in a world of decreased choice and they have to wait and receive. And what Food Club does is it restores some choice at a level suited to the income of the family and changes that value proposition and even the relationship between the beneficiary, or what we'll call the member, and the assisting organization or Community Action House and Food Club into a more equal setting where there's expectations on both sides. And we just say it emphasizes dignity, participation on both sides, and choice of those healthy options, and choice of when to come, choice of how often to come. It restores a lot of that choice and dignity that's sometimes not there in the traditional pantry and emergency food system.
616-395-1450 if you have a question for Scott Rumpsa or David Lee with the Community Action House. Food is one thing, and I'm going to bring up the bridge / snap card dilemma.
Yep.
People qualify for bridge cards. People
Mhm.
qualify for the SNAP program. Oh, it's nice. Takes care of the food stuff. But what about the toiletries? What
Yep.
about the diapers? What about the cleaning utensils, the non-food items that they're not covered by the bridge card? They're not covered by SNAP. How does the Community Action House deal with that situation?
Yeah, just as we do today, Gary, and I'm glad you brought that up. We try to make sure that we increase access to those essential items that family need, that families in our neighborhood and in our water community need, but sometimes just can't afford. And so that looks like diapers. That looks like basic household essentials, the toilet paper, the household cleaning, the diapers for your children, the other products that are going to help that family, you know, stabilize and then start to think we're worthy of this and we can start to partner and work on a pathway forward. So that's a good question. We do have those on our shelves today at our pantry, and we plan to have those accessible at the food club, just for those extended hours and that more welcoming experience where instead of waiting and just asking, it's get the shopping cart, walk through, and you'll have your membership card and know how many points, which is how people will shop in this club once they have a membership. They'll go through and they'll choose what to spend those points on a month. And it might be they need some diapers for their infant, they might need some apple juice, they might need some milk, they might need some lettuce. And the other thing that Food Club does is it orients what we're having on display, but also how we're pricing things towards those items that are often cut from family budgets. So in a traditional supermarket, sometimes the highly processed food or sometimes the sugary drinks, the less healthy food is going to be the more affordable for low-income families. At Food Club, we get to choose what is most heavily subsidized. And we choose those healthier options that often those families have to cut out. The lettuce, the apples, the fresh fruit and vegetables, those items that will guarantee availability will cost fewer points than some of the less healthy options. So there'll be choice, but we're choosing what is most subsidized and what we're incentivizing as we serve our neighbors and provide opportunity to healthy living.
One other thing, and I want to bring this up before we get to our break. We talk about the fact that the new food club is coming up in October. But the other half of it, and I want to get you, Scott, or David, talking a little bit about this, the Opportunity Hub. What exactly is this Opportunity Hub all about?
I am just so glad you asked. So when we watched what happened in Grand Rapids, that was a food-only food club. They provided food assistance, did it in a great way. They still do it in a great way. And we learned from that. But as an organization, we have always focused on providing more than just food. We know food matters. We know people have to come. They have to receive some of that extra food support. But what the Opportunity Hub is, it's a space that invites people into those other pathways that we have, whether it's meeting with one of our resource specialists to address a challenge, whether it's a housing challenge, it's a utility payments challenge, it's a healthcare challenge. We have resource specialists that can help people set those goals and access other resources, whether it's utility assistance, whether it's navigating the healthcare system. That staff can work shoulder to shoulder with people to access those resources they need to achieve their goals, to stabilize and achieve more time. And then we also have a financial wellness team, which has housing counselors on it that works with people on credit building plans, financial empowerment, and financial futures coursework, and pathways that often culminate with low and moderate income home ownership. And a lot of folks that sit through our courses or work with our counselors think, I didn't believe that I might be able to step into home ownership. And in most years, not called 2020, we're able to help 50 to 70 families purchase their first home after graduating from some of our coursework. And so that's going to be offered right on site. So we'll go from that easy guest journey from, hey, I'm going to shop next Thursday. I can check in with a resource specialist, or I can shop at a time that I know I can stay for a quick 1-hour session or chat with somebody on credit building. So I can build up that credit so it's easier for me when I have to, sign a new lease or re-enter the rental market, or to maybe aspire to a home loan, to step into that home ownership journey that we can celebrate together. So again, all those opportunity focused pathways are going to be offered in really a welcoming, inviting space that has group classroom, that has individual meeting rooms, and that people will not feel shame in coming to, but feel that pride in, hey, I've got this opportunity. This is my community here for me, because that's what Community Action House is.
616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. David, you had something that you wanted to add to? Yeah.
A metaphor I like to use is, if you go to some of our larger grocery stores in our area, oftentimes you'll find a coffee shop, you'll find a bank, you'll find an optometrist, you'll find there's all these little sub things, mini businesses inside the larger grocery stores. And the grocery stores they're brilliant at what they do. They know that they're creating convenience and value and pulling people in, right? And we're just building on top of that same idea, except our goal is to provide services that truly are there to help people. And we're hoping, and we know that like the experience that people have when they walk in the door is just going to be setting the tone. So if they're seeing really healthy, fresh food that they can access, it's really designed for them and friendly people, man, are they going to be, we're hoping, much more likely to say, hey, what's this class about? Oh yeah, I want to learn about credit. I mean, these questions happen naturally, but man, when we can invite people in and partner with them with that small membership fee, I mean, there's nothing like membership benefits. Everyone loves those, right? So it's a change in how we are going to be serving the community by saying, you know what, partnership is the future. And this opportunity hub is a place where we get to live up to the quality every single day.
Let's get to a call. Hopefully it's still with us. Good morning. You're on the line with Scott Rumpsa and David Lee from the Action House.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening, and the food club sounds just awesome. And my family has been really wanting to get involved together. And I have a teenage son. Is there something that we can do, like volunteering together?
Yeah, I'm so glad you called and asked that. We all of our programs, even today, are powered by countless community volunteers. It was about 460 last year that stepped into our programs, and we have teenagers, we have mothers and fathers and children coming together. And at Food Club, we are seeking a large number of new volunteers that would be available at different schedules to come together. And we're really asking folks to, once they explore that possibility, to consider, is there maybe a once a month shift that becomes regular? Because it's those regular volunteers that say, you know what, the first Saturday of the month or the first Tuesday of the month, that's when I come and I work shoulder to shoulder with my family or some of my small group members from my church or from my civic group. And we volunteer together. So if you're interested in those volunteer pathways and signing up, our website is www.hz for Holland, Zealand, so hzfoodclub.org. And you'll find a volunteer pathway right at the top bar. And if you sign up, our volunteer coordinator will be in touch and start to schedule with you guys. And we would love to have you.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the call. 616-395-1450. We'll take this to the top of the hour with David Lee and with Scott Rumpsa from the Community Action House. Volunteer is one thing, but fundraising is another, and there is an incentive right now to help raise money, raise capital to help this food club and opportunity hub become a reality. I wish it was now, but it's not going to be until October over on 8th and Paw Paw Drive. Tell us a little bit about the opportunities for people to, so shall we say, donate with the cash or splash the cash, as they say.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gary. And yeah, this is, Community Action House for the last 51 years has been a community funded and community powered organization. So that's volunteers, just like our last caller, stepping up to volunteer with us in Power Work. And then our funding is 85% local churches, corporations, individuals, gifts of all levels, from $10, to much larger sums, powering our work. This big step forward as we're starting this journey is we're looking to raise 4.25 million, which is a huge, scary number. But this is infrastructure for the coming decades of service for our community. And thanks to so many generous funders, we're 90% of the way there. So we need about $400,000 additional, and we're looking for gifts of all sizes. And right now, through the end of June, we have a generous anchor donor who is matching every new gift that comes in dollar for dollar. And so if people are interested in giving, they can find out by texting Food Club, one word, FOODCLUB, Food Club to 44321. So texting Food Club to 44321. Or going to www.hzfoodclub.org. And we're looking for funders to help us close that gap so that we can definitely open fully funded here in the autumn.
Now, we've had some time to talk a little bit verbally about the project, about the initiative. And again, it's going to be in October, but this is more than just what we can, spit out and talk about over a 24-minute period.
Right.
There is other ways for people to know about it, what they can do to help, or for those who might be needing this type of service. There is going to, as you mentioned, Scott, the website, which is hzfoodclub.org, but there's also going to be a virtual information session coming up in the middle of the month.
Absolutely. Every month we've been doing virtual information sessions. Those are you can find and register those on our website or on our social media channels. If you look for Community Action House on Facebook, you'll find those items, but also on our website, hcfoodclub.org. You can register for an information session. We do question and answer. If you're curious how your larger church can get involved, you can also email us at hello@communityactionhouse.org. Or there's contact links through our website as well. And we'd love to be in touch with you to share a bit more about what we do, to set up a custom session with your small group or your church, because really it takes a very broad community of support to offer service like this. And we're looking for folks that are interested in joining the movement that is Community Action House.
Now that is one final thing, and I'm going to sort of bring this back to June 2, 2021. We talk about the food club. We talk about the Opportunity Hub. That's in the future. What about right now? If somebody needs help right now, in fact, I had to go get gas, and I said two signs, of people, and it's like, hey, guys, there's a place you can go to that can help you out. What about immediate help between now and October when this food hub starts getting going?
100%. All of our teams are ready to reach out and receive anybody that's in need to try to offer those pathways to stability and progress, critical resources now, and then partnering with people on those challenges they might have. So have people, if they're looking for help, Monday through Friday here at 14th Street, they can either show up on site or they can call us. And our phone numbers at communityactionhouse.org. It's 616-392-2368. But that is public.
Can you repeat that real quick, Scott?
616-392-2368. For those that are needing assistance, for those that are looking for food support right now, for those who are looking, and trying to address some other challenges, our teams are always here. Whether it's our outreach team working with some of our neighbors experiencing homelessness, or it's our food assistance team here at the pantry, or our resource specialists. We've got a number of programs that are available, and we publish all those on our core website and through our social media channels. But we're always willing to be put in touch with our neighbors in need and to have them reach out directly to us.
And the reason why I mentioned that is that one of the signs of one of the people involved was saying recent homeless. And it's like, hey, this is the time when, disaster strikes in that regard. Hey, the Community Action House willing to help. Scott Rumpsa, David Lee from the Community Action House. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and telling us about this opportunity. Again, it's about 5 months down the road, but the Action House is still around now to help people in need in the Holland Zeeland area. Gentlemen, thank you, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thanks for having us, Gary.
Thank you very much. Scott Rumpsa and David Lee from the Community Action House.